Blind Business is a game with a really fun theme and really charming art with these cool, old school cartoonish characters that are trying to break piñatas, so they don't really know what the heck they're doing. This is the thematic reason to explain why you're playing at this card game with the cards facing out Hanabi style so that you can see other people's cards and they can see yours, but you cannot see your own. At the beginning of the game, you're allowed to look at your cards, but pretty much that's it. After that, well, you gotta guess and work that way. The game comes with a bunch of multilingual rule books, which is fine. We used to see that a lot in Euro games especially. But then that also means something a little more peculiar, that half of the cards in the game, these are the actual playing cards, half of the cards are the player rates, languages. So that's, I don't know, that seems a little wasteful to me. The game itself, you will remove a number of cards based on the number of players. Say that's how many we need to remove. And then each player gets a hand of 4 cards. And as we said, usually you wouldn't be able to see yours, but for the purpose of this example, I'm actually gonna show you the things. There you go. So these are 2 hands. One is yours, one belongs to the other player, but you don't know your own card. The purpose is to acquire cards that you will place in your personal scoring area and will allow you to score the most points at the end of the game. Even better, see, these cards are coded by number and by suit, which is also indicated by color. These other icons here represent actions, and that's optional. Of course, you will want to play with the special actions and powers. Which also leads me immediately to say there's something here weird about the production, because these are effects that score at the end of the game. Here, the lightning bolt simply means that that's an effect I need to implement right away, but it doesn't show it to me. So if I'm looking at this hand that somebody else has, I don't know what those are. I need to ask them, can you remind me of what those effects are? And that's a bit annoying, because I really don't know why they couldn't place that icon there. Instead of reminding me there is an effect without telling me which one it is. Another complaint that I also received from my players is that at a distance, some of these icons are not so, or values or suits are not so easy to tell from one another. Gameplay. Players will alternate being the active player, and when you're the active player, you point to a card that belongs to another player and you say, I would like that one. They don't know what it is, of course. They know that you're pointing at a certain card. So you're the asker and they are the receiver of the offer. At that point, the receiver decides what to do. They can reject the question. No, I don't want to give you that card. If they do so, then the receiver takes their own card that the asker asked about, and then the asker can take one of the remaining cards and place it in their personal scoring. And then whatever happens at that point, you simply draw until everybody has back to 4. What happens if the asker asks for a card and the other person does accept the offer? Say, I want that one. Okay, it's fine. Then the person who was asked get to ask for a card from the asker. And at that point, it's the asker that can choose to accept or refuse. It sounds complicated, but basically, if the person that you ask agrees to give you a card, they ask for one in return from your hand. And then you can still confirm whether you want to do that deal. If you accept the deal, then the cards are exchanged, which makes sense. I asked for yours and you asked for mine, and we agreed. If the asker does not agree to the deal, then everybody gets their own card. So basically, asking, giving, it means when you ask somebody, you end up with a new card in your play area, and the person you asked to also will end up. See these different suits? You're gonna place the cards belonging to the same suit next to each other in an order, kind of like in a meld sort of situation. Now, as I said, you will continue until either a person has a perfect strike. They have 4 cards in the scoring area of the same suit, and they are just a perfect sequence of 5 sequential numbers. They win the game immediately. Pretty sweet. Otherwise, the game continues until the deck of cards is over, and then everybody scores the points that they have in their personal area. At that point, for each suit, which should be in a specific set, you count the highest card, the value of the highest card, that would be 11, and you multiply by the number of cards in that suit. The set, for example, is worth 33 points because the highest is 11 and I got 3 of them. This set is worth 30, also has 3 cards, the highest is a 10. Simple as that. If you're playing with the optional rules, which you will, you're watching video reviews, so chances are you are an adult who is really into games, and so you like to see the full game. Then also the suits will have special powers that will make scoring a little more nuanced at the end. But this is basically how you play Blind Business. So it's very simple. It's the initial idea, again, so simple. It sounds more complicated than it is, but it's super simple. It's about asking and then deciding if you want to accept the offer or not. Also, of course, asking for specific cards and deciding the person you want to ask to, because maybe there's a person who's already ahead and now they have in their own hand the card that they need to win. That's tough because I don't want them to reject my offer and then they put the card that they need to win in their own set and they win, or they have some other good cards, or there's some good cards that really is good for me, so now I want that card. So deciding that is also an interesting decision. For a game this simple, it has some really nice mechanics, especially with the full rules. Then you have a lot of game effects that balance things out. Without the optional rules, the effects indicated here, an 11 is much better than a lot of other cards. But here, if you have an 11 and you have the most cards, or you're tied for most cards, then you need to discard a card from your set. Here's the same thing, similar, but see, if you have the most cards, not tied with a 10, then you also lose a card. So very nice, interesting ideas there that balance some of the best cards, some of the weak cards are not so good per se. But for example, I forgot about this one. Actually, this one counts as 2 cards, so that would be interesting. That would increase the value of that set. So, interesting balancing mechanisms there. The general idea is super simple. Strategizing when to choose, whom to choose, and trying to remember what you have. Okay, I just put this in my personal area. Now I'm getting a new card. I want to keep it there, and I know which one is the one that I don't know because maybe I have a sense of what I have here. Bluffing, but combined with some pretty solid set collection mechanics. The art is adorable. And so, as a light filler, this is definitely one that is fun and engaging. My only negatives are like, well, again, it seems like a waste to have a whole stack of player ace that is as big as the deck of cards itself. And again, some of my players, not me, struggled with seeing the icons at a distance. So those are the only 2 negatives I can think. But overall, Blind Business is a very fun and entertaining filler.